Serenity. The spiritual path, the hero's journey, a concept first introduced by the legendary Joseph Campbell, is not an easy path to walk. We hear a calling and leave the known to venture into the unknown. We encounter challenges and crisis, death and rebirth, revelation, and finally transformation. It's called a hero's journey for a reason. It's not for the faint of heart. Along this journey, we might find there are some things that are hard to change, and that is where we have to practice acceptance and compassion for ourselves. Kindness toward ourselves goes a long way. Self-condemnation and beating ourselves up does not serve us whatsoever. There will be some things we want to change but find it difficult. That's when we call upon God or Spirit or the universe, whatever term you feel comfortable with. The point is to call upon that something for help. The Serenity prayer brings me back to the peace in my heart every time I read it. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. If you don't believe in a higher power, you won't be able to change. You might have a temporary change, but not a lasting one that transforms you from the inside out. We can't do it alone. We were never meant to do it alone. And there are a lot of unemployed angels just sitting around waiting for you to ask for their help. Free will is our gift from God, so if we don't ask, they won't intercede. Ask and you shall receive has proven true in my life. What I learned is the help always comes. It just might not be in the package or timing we imagine. Divine peeing. About 10 years ago, I experienced my first polar bear plunge with a group of Franciscan priests on the North Shore of Long Island, where I grew up in Mount Sinai. My intention behind the icy plunge was to purify and cleanse myself, dedicating it to Jesus and all of humanity. I thought if Jesus could sacrifice and suffer the way he horribly did for all of us, then I can jump into the freezing cold ocean. I ran into the ocean in my bikini on January 1st, jumped in, dove under, and exploded up screaming. I had no idea that when water is that cold, it feels like the opposite of cold, like your skin is being burned. I ran out, sat on the beach, wrapped in blankets, proud of myself that I was brave enough to go through with it, feeling cleansed and alive. I had a dilemma though. I had to pee really bad, and there was no way I was going back into the frigid ocean. Normally, I can pee anywhere outside. I'm not self-conscious when it comes to that. I've mastered the art of discreetly peeing in public. When you drink as much water as I do, this is the consequence. Mastery or not, I had a problem since the beach was an open area full of priests in long robes, not a friendly public peeing place. I walked over to the bathrooms, which I was sure were going to be locked, and they were. My bladder was ready to explode. Out of nowhere, a man appeared dressed in a leather jacket, looking like he just got off his Harley. He asked me if I needed something. I replied that I needed to use the bathroom, trying not to look desperate. My sister-in-law had joined me at this point. Without answering me, he walked over to the bathroom door, whipped out a serious industrial-sized keychain, found the right key instantly, and voila, opened the door. We looked at each other in bewilderment and quickly went inside, now happy and relieved. We agreed that it was weird how he appeared out of nowhere. When we came out, he was still there. We thanked him profusely and asked him what his name was. He replied, Matthew. Next thing I knew, just as he appeared out of the blue, he disappeared. Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be open to you. For everyone who asks receives. The one who seeks finds. And to the one who knocks, the door will be open. Matthew 7:7-8. Some of you might be thinking why God would waste time worrying about my bladder. Doesn't he or she have more important things to worry about? Well, you either believe God is or God isn't. There is no halfway truth. If God is, then God is in everything, everyone, and everywhere, omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient. If all prayers are answered and God does not judge, then yes, as trivial as you might believe your request is, God does not. Whether you believe that was a coincidence or divine intervention really doesn't matter anyway, because according to quantum physics, what you believe becomes your reality. I believe my angels were looking out for me that day, as they always do. It was just one of my many miracles. Bitch. Working as a diligent student of healing, I have literally transformed myself from the outside in and the inside out. About 3 years into my yoga awakening, I had lunch with my personal trainer, who trained me for my bodybuilding competitions, not the ex-boxer. Noticing how different I was, he said, "Wow, you've changed. You seem so peaceful now." I was very pleased with this comment, being the good yogi I was and working as hard as I was. But wait, I thought, how was I before? I inquired. He replied, "A cranky bitch on no carbs." And according to my philosophy I shared with downtown Julie Brown on MTV, I was definitely a bitch. I even wore a baseball hat in college that said bitch in bold silver lettering and thought I was cool. Another cringing moment. When I was 15 years old, if someone said to me, "Have a nice day," my response was, "Don't tell me what kind of day to have." Yeah, I said that. I shouldn't have been so surprised at my trainer's observation. When I was 11 years old, I was having a sleepover with my 4 best friends. We sat around in a circle, and someone decided we would all take turns going around telling each person what they liked and disliked about each other. We were quite the open-minded group of tweens. I don't really remember what my friends said about what they liked about me, because all I could remember is what each of them disliked about me. They all said I acted like a bitch with a bad attitude. They followed it up with, "We know you're going through tough times at home with your family situation, and that's why we understand why you can act so tough and mean. We know on the inside you are really sweet." I was a bully in middle school. I used to torment a girl named Barbie on our field hockey team. As she would start to run across the field, I would trip her with my stick when she least expected it. I also used to make myself faint by hyperventilating on the field to torture my coach and send her into a panic to end practice early. I called a girl out once on the playground to fight her. I stole her pick from her back pocket and made fun of her gold digger jeans. I was one of those mean girls. I was not kind to myself, so I was not kind to others. Stuff in the basement. In Rocky V, his son asked him why he was fighting again, and Rocky answered, because he still had stuff in the basement. I love that answer. I totally got it. It's our own inner demons that can fuel us to make changes in our life if we are aware of them. When we let them go unnoticed, they find their way into our bodies. For me, the anger that I carried with me was the unresolved hurt and pain from abandonment, which found its way into my back and neck and out on other people. Usually we think of anger in a negative way, but like every emotion, it has 2 sides, positive and negative. Used in the positive, anger can help to make changes in our lives. It can light the fire under our butt to be productive and step out of our comfort zone. As long as we are not taking it out on other people, anger can be a powerful force and emotion. When I was in middle school, my nickname was Roadrunner because I ran so fast on the field hockey field and basketball court. That was because I was mad all the time. Now I run like a tortoise, but I'm very peaceful. The only time I made it to the fast lane in swim practice was after an argument with my girlfriend, when she was criticizing and judging my parenting skills. That's the one thing I go ballistic over. Never judge me about being a parent. I turn it into a fierce lioness. It was the fastest I ever swam, though. Needless to say, when I began to study Buddhism, I signed up for every class and workshop I could on anger. One of my close friends observed, "You are quick to anger," which made me angrier. I needed to get to the bottom of why I was so angry and seethed with so much rage at times. I honestly thought I was defective in some way. I wondered how I could have such a big, loving, compassionate heart in 1 minute, then be ready to explode the next. Even after After all those 8-hour workshops, I was still freaking angry. What made me even angrier was the response I got every time I told someone I was angry. You're a yoga teacher. How could you be angry? I'm still effing human. What I did learn, which has proven instrumental in my life, is 1, to acknowledge and accept the fact that I'm angry, and 2, the awareness to nip it in the bud. The first feelings of impatience or frustration are the little embers, the beginning of the angry mind. It's like a dry forest fire waiting to catch fire. Even sarcasm is a form of anger. It's anger in disguise, just dressed less intimidating. Anger comes in all forms and manners. That is why meditating or having some sort of awareness practice is key. I really had a lot of work to do. No more sucking my teeth, rolling my eyes, huffing and puffing, making sarcastic comments. Those are all forms of anger. It's negativity expressed through the body. Practicing peace is like climbing up a ladder. It takes carefulness and patience to go up a ladder one step at a time. But one misstep and we fall right down to the bottom very quickly. That's how fast negativity and anger spreads. At least I know what my triggers are that create angry responses. So I prepare myself in advance or stay away from those situations when possible. If I'm hungry and tired and stuck in traffic or a long line, that's a bad combination for me. That's a forest fire ready to burst into flames. The best thing you can do is to get good at being you. Fortune cookie. Life is an echo. The sleepover that night with my friends was a wake-up call for me at 11 years old. They were a gift in my life because they told me the truth, even though it wasn't easy to hear. Notice they said I acted like a bitch. They didn't say I was a bitch. They also delivered it in a way soft and tender with love. That's the only reason I could hear it and take it in. Judge the action, not the person. That's the problem too. We can't see ourselves. It's not like we walk around with a mirror in front of us. We are programmed to look outside of ourselves, to judge the material world as a guide to our success. We don't grow up in the West with meditation and spiritualism. We grow up with consumerism, materialism, and Bugs Bunny. I saw a bumper sticker the other day that said, "What would Scooby-Doo do?" I guess we replaced Jesus with Scooby-Doo. If you don't have true friends in your life being honest with you in a kind and loving way, you can always use your life as your mirror. Your life is a reflection of your inner being and inner beliefs. You can tell how well you're doing in your life by the outer conditions. I love Emerson's quote, "What you are, shout so loudly that I cannot hear what you say." Here's another short story that resonated with me that I share in my yoga classes. The mountain story. A son and his father were walking on the mountains. Suddenly, his son falls, hurts himself, and screams, "Ah!" To his surprise, he hears the voice repeating somewhere in the mountain, "Ah!" Curious, he yells, "Who are you?" He receives the answer, "Who are you?" And then he screams to the mountain, "I admire you." The voice answers, "I admire you." Angered at the response, he screams, "Coward!" He receives the answer, "Coward!" He looks to his father and asks, "What's going on?" The father smiles and says, "My son, pay attention." The man screams, "You are a champion." The voice answers, "You are a champion." The boy is surprised but does not understand. Then the father explains, "People call this echo, but really, this is life. It gives you back everything you say or do. Our life is simply a reflection of our actions. If you want more love in this world, create more love in your heart. If you want more competence in your team, improve your competence. This relationship applies to everything in all aspects of life. Love will give you back everything you have given to it. Your life is not a coincidence. It is a reflection of you.